You are listening to the TWT Podcast Network.
You didn't scream, boom, shakalaka. You didn't howl at the moon.
Paul, say something stupid.
Bologna, fudge, and mustard. My life is being ruined by the internet.
I'm here to stay. Make a good lucha thing.
Where's my fucking champ?
This will be the moment, starting now, of the genesis of McGillicuddy.
We're going to the top of the totem pole.
This is the Wrestling Botchcast with your hosts, Scotty the Brain and Sean Bradshaw Layfield.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Botchcast. We are coming to you with a brand new show this week. We are going to start out with our dirt sheet. We're going to talk a little bit about Big Cass and what's going on with him and his big plans that he has. We're going to talk a bit about Cody Rhodes and what WWE might have in store for him. We've got some news about Extreme Rules, a bunch of injuries to cover, and we're going to get into our hot takes on all the shows this week. We got Team Hell No back in action again. We're going to talk about how we feel about that. Tommaso Ciampa is challenging Aleister Black as well. And finally, we're going to close things out with what each of us thought was the match of the week this week. I am joined with Stunning Stevie and SBL. What is going on, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
There it is. We got our
you.
yayer back.
That's right, you son of a bitch.
Oh man. So we had a pretty decent week in wrestling this week. It wasn't horrible. Raw's starting to get a little bit better. Things are picking up a bit. SmackDown Live has still been trucking along, putting out really good shows. But let's start this week with our dirt sheet. So sources close to Big Cass are saying that he plans on joining the Bullet Club just to shove it in WWE's face and prove that he's better than they made him out to be. Oh man. I feel a lot of things about this, but Stevie, tell me how you feel about this first.
Well, I mean, it just seems like he's just trying to grasp onto the spotlight as long as he can, and apparently he thinks he's so badass that he can just get into the Bullet Club without at least asking permission first.
SBL, how do you feel about Big Cass joining up with your boy Kenny Omega?
Not great. I don't think it'll happen though, because I feel like he would have to be invited to be in the Bullet Club.
And he'd actually have to be a decent wrestler.
See, here's the thing. It seems like most of the Bullet Club members are, but I'm not even saying that's like a necessary prerequisite. I just feel like he has no relationship with these guys. He's literally just trying to stir up controversy, it seems like. I don't know. Maybe he's best friends with Cody in secret life. Who knows? But
maybe.
It seems to me like he has no real connection to those guys.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the controversy thing. I think he's just trying to stir it up with WWE because that's kind of their one big competitor right now. That's the one thing they wish they had was the Bullet Club and the merch sales that those guys put out. So I imagine that's probably all he's doing. He's just stirring the pot, trying to be a dick. So I guess we'll see. He's got to wait 6 months before he can do anything because he has the no compete clause like all the WWE guys do. So we won't hear from him for 6 months. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. All right.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got Becky Lynch has been suggesting a women's tag title on numerous occasions to the WWE creative team and probably Vinnie Mac, but nothing's happening yet. It's interesting that this came out as a news story this week, though. So how do you feel about a women's title, SBL?
I just don't know where they're getting all these people. I feel like they have like 10 women in the scene right now on each roster, and then what? They have a handful of people in NXT. I don't see how you can make this a viable option without having just like 2 teams on each brand and then 5 people in the title picture, and then NXT will just be status quo. I mean, if you bring up 20 girls from NXT or 20 women from NXT, what happens to NXT? Like, sure, even if you invited everyone in the Mae Young Classic, let's think back. Like, some of those people weren't that great.
No.
Especially, like, in the first 2 rounds. Like, some of those people were not great at all. And so it kind of just makes you feel like, all right, well, you bring up, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, Nikki Cross, the one girl with the punch.
Lacey Evans.
Bianca Belair. Who else do you have, man? There's no one else there.
We got Candice LeRae as well.
Candice
LeRae, sure.
And Aaliyah. But yeah, there really aren't many. There really aren't many.
Yeah.
All right, Stevie, you feel differently about this? You think they should have them?
I do think they should have tag titles. And I know that, having, 10 or 12 women on each roster could be an issue. But, I mean, when you think about it, there's really only 4 or 5 of the same wrestlers that go after the men's titles anyways. So, I mean, if you had 12 women on a roster, you got 5 for your, women's title picture, and then the rest can go after the tag title. That's like 3 or 4 good teams. And, I mean, they could always add more people, too.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
From where?
That way.
Well, I mean, just from, Ring of Honor, like they always do.
Who's in Ring of Honor right now? Here's the thing. Emma couldn't make it on these rosters.
No, she got cut last year.
So what the hell, man? Like, she was a fine wrestler.
Yeah, she was good. I don't understand why they cut her in the first place, especially after she had a really big match with, Asuka, I think?
Yeah, she did really good in that match, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but then she got crushed the next night and released, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
but that's the
did
thing,
that
though,
right.
is like, Emma couldn't survive in a climate where there's only one title. But, I mean, if you have, multiple titles for them to fight for, then you can focus your star power for who you want at your top. In 2 different divisions instead of just the one. 13 women fighting over one title seems like a big stretch for me. And it's always the same, like I said, 3 or 4 people that are going after it anyways. So I think a tag title would be pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with both sides of it. I feel like just because you might be vying for the tag title doesn't mean that you couldn't also be involved in the main title picture. I feel like some of them might have to pull double duty in a way. But at the same time, you want to have established tag teams so you kind of know what's happening. Otherwise, you end up with, something like the hardcore title back in the Attitude Era where, at any given time, it's going to be some random person that gets thrown in there to win it. So it'll be hard to establish storylines and really set a certain amount of the females in that division. And decide who should be the ones that should be in there.
I just think it's a really good move for them right now because tag team titles with the men are not doing so well and the women are on fire. So, I mean, might as well use that to their advantage. And, worrying about not enough competitors can always be resolved with, hiring new talent.
Yeah, they could, but you got that turnaround time. There aren't many of them that go directly into the WWE anymore, like directly to the main roster. Most of them have to be brought up through NXT so they can kind of train them and show them, okay, this is, you've wrestled crazy on the indies because there were really no rules, other than don't hurt the other person. Now we got to show you how we do it so that you don't get injured. And, that it seems like they have their own way of doing things and they don't want you to come in with any bad habits when you get onto the main roster. So I feel like they'd have to hire a pretty large pool of women for NXT if they decide to bring up the others. And it'd be a long transition period. I feel like we're at least a year or 2 off before they do this.
It could be something that they debut on the new SmackDown when it goes to Fox next year.
Yeah, that very well could be.
Kudos to Becky Lynch for, bringing it up and stuff, Obviously she hasn't had a good title option lately.
True.
Yeah, that would be something that could spice up SmackDown because I feel like when you go to Fox, you're going to need some kind of hook. I just don't know that puts it over the top necessarily. And I don't see the roster depth to support it, which is why I feel like Becky Lynch is probably being ignored.
It very well could be. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you really get excited about a new tag title? I can tell you most of the time the tag title it almost seems like a low card type thing. I mean, you even look at Money in the Bank, one of them was on the pre-show this time. I just don't see them as a really important title when it comes down to it. It seems like here's the guys we don't know what to do with.
Anyway, wasn't it?
Well, the B team one was completely canceled, and then
that was the right.
The Bludgeons and the Good Brothers had theirs on the pre-show. So, I mean, it feels like the tag title is just kind of a throwaway thing right now anyways.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I've never gotten excited about tag titles, and other than when, you had Edge and Christian and the Hardys and the Dudley Boys fighting over it. I mean, they just don't make it exciting anymore.
Yeah, it used to be, more prestigious than it is now, for sure. But, I mean, as far as, getting into talking about SmackDown later on in the segment, or in the podcast here, that we can touch more on what they're trying to do. I'm pretty sure that the writing staff is aware that the tag teams are stinky right now, and they're working on it.
I don't hate all the tag teams. I just feel like there aren't enough of them, and there's not enough. Again, it's kind of like the women's division in a way. The best teams are the ones that are teams, and the guys that they throw together just kind of seem haphazard a lot of the times.
Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, I can say I'm kind of excited for the coming feuds, or the feuds that are starting to come about. Like the B team and the Deleters has just been funny. It's been good for comedy on Raw, keep things fresh. That I can say that's one that has excited me a little bit. I mean, I still feel like the B team probably won't win, but at least it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, and those guys, they were quiet as the Mizrach for the longest time, so I think it's pretty neat that they're finally getting a chance to be a part of the show.
And a bigger part, too, rather than just playing second fiddle to The Miz. They can kind of show what they can do, and they're great. I mean, I enjoy watching them. I enjoyed whenever they got to speak in the limited amount of time they'd get to do promos and things when they do Miz TV and things like that. So, yeah, it's been good to see what they can do, and I mean, they're making it work for them. All right, well, let's move on. Next, this is... I hardly even say this is news or dirt sheet stuff, but everyone on Twitter was going crazy because the WWE started following Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks this week. First question to you guys. Do either of you actually give a shit?
No, not really.
In a word, no.
I mean, that's good for them, but, doesn't really matter to me.
I just don't understand why it was such a big deal that they started following him. I mean, I guess it's interesting because it was the WWE account, but I guarantee it's not Vince McMahon that's sitting there on Twitter following people.
Yeah, it's going to be like some college temp or something. You know what I mean? It's not...
Right. Well, they probably have a social media manager or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe,
like Todd.
Even if that.
Like a Todd from a university.
Good old Todd.
He's probably named Todd. I mean, let's be honest.
It's probably true. It's definitely a Todd. And Todd's like, let's follow one of the Young Bucks. Just one of them.
Yeah, not both of them.
Just one.
No.
Yeah, either that or they're just trying to stir the pot a little bit more because all the news has been coming out that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks about them being offered a contract next year. So, and going right in line with that, a report came out today that the WWE is planning on offering Cody Rhodes a very large contract when his contract with ROH is up. I personally do not see him going back.
You touched on this last week, didn't you, SBL, about Stardust?
Yeah, here's the thing. I feel like he is probably... I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I feel like they're going to do like the Drew McIntyre thing. Like, oh, we let you go. We fucked up. Come on back in. But do you think they see him as more? I don't know. I guess only time will tell. I don't know that Vince McMahon sees Cody Rhodes as the champion.
No, I have noticed a trend here lately that they are bringing a bunch of people back that they got rid of,
But here's the thing. Finn Balor and AJ Styles were, I guess AJ's a bad example because he's the current champion, but Finn Balor was the original Bullet Club leader, and he came to a ton of fanfare. And, what's he doing? I feel like that's what's going to happen to Cody Rhodes, more or less.
It's very possible. I mean, considering what they did with him whenever he was in WWE, he was in some good storylines when he first came up, when they were doing the Nexus thing and when he was a part of the tag team he had or the partnership he had with Ted DiBiase Jr. Those storylines were decent. I liked a lot of what they did with that. The matches they had with Triple H and Shawn Michaels were really good. But, I mean, after that, he just kind of fell off a cliff, which seems to be par for the course for a lot of the superstars nowadays. Unless you are one of the big names, you're kind of going to get lost in the shuffle at some point. And I think that's kind of
one
what
of the
happened
4 or
with him.
5. One of the 4 or 5 guys, yeah. Well, I mean, Finn, honestly, in my opinion, I think he's getting a lot more play than he was in the past couple of months. So, I mean, we might be seeing some bigger stuff from him soon. I hope so. I mean, he definitely deserves it. But I mean, he was in that tag match last Monday. That was in the main event. So
yeah, he does main event a lot, I can say that, but he's never really, since he lost the Universal title, he hasn't really been in any title picture whatsoever. He's just been a mid-card guy that, main event sometimes whenever he can get in on a tag match. So, I mean, he had a great set of matches with Seth Rollins when they were feuding last year or earlier this year. I mean, he does good stuff. I just don't think they see him as the guy, and I don't know that they ever will, which is interesting. I honestly, we had predicted he would get moved over to SmackDown. I thought that would have made a lot of sense because he fits the bill of a lot of the superstars over there.
Yeah, I'd love to see that move, honestly.
Maybe next year. I don't know. Fingers crossed. All right, so we got a little bit of Extreme Rules news. This match has not been announced yet, but they're definitely alluding to it. Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman have been advertised in a cage match for Extreme Rules. So there's a new set of advertisements that went out for Pittsburgh's Extreme Rules, and this was one of them that was shown on there, as well as I think the Lashley and Reigns was on there as well. But it didn't have any stipulation for that. So what do you guys think about a KO and Braun cage match?
I feel like you're just not going to beat Braun, so it bums me out that KO will have to eat another pin.
Or just eat a lot of cage.
I kind of wish it was a TLC match instead of a cage match. I know it's going to be interesting, though, because they're both great workers. But, yeah, it does seem like KO is going to have to eat another loss here.
As he does. I don't see another way. I just wonder what kind of cage they're going to use, if it's going to be the one you can escape from or if it's going to be kind of a Hell in the Cell type cage.
Yeah, see, I'm hoping for some high spots. That's why I was saying I'd rather it be a TLC match, because at least then we can see people go through tables. But if it's just them in a cage, it's going to be kind of boring, I think.
Yeah, and I don't see KO really getting much offense on this. I'm sure, they'll try to work it up a little bit. Braun's going to hit his shoulder off of the post at one point, like he always does. But that feud, they've destroyed and buried KO so many times against Braun that I can't get excited about it at all.
And there's like zero build. Like it started building up at Money in the Bank and then last Monday. And what do they have? 2 more Mondays before it's time to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got 2 more weeks. And I mean, they've been alluding to it. The whole Monday thing didn't make any sense to me. They tagged up, they won, and then suddenly Braun hates KO again. It just
it was dumb.
I don't understand it. I mean, can either of you explain to me what the logic is behind that?
And the only thing that I could guess is they want people to think that Braun is crazy and can't make up his mind on how he wants to feel about people.
And he just doesn't like anybody except for Finn Balor. Apparently, last week he said they were friends. So I don't know. I don't get any of that.
Yeah, but then he whooped his ass.
I know. I don't get it.
We also just take a second and talk about how ridiculous it is that he is the Money in the Bank briefcase and his champion is never there for him to utilize it.
Oh, that's 100% ridiculous.
That's why I originally picked the SmackDown. That's why we all originally picked SmackDown for the Money in the Bank winner, I believe. Because
it made sense.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's really no drama in having it on Raw because it's literally just a guy in a briefcase.
Very true.
They didn't need it in the first place. Finn Balor could have used it better than him.
Yeah, but that goes back to they're not really pushing Finn Balor. I don't know. All right, so we got a lot of injury things going on this week. First off, Charlotte Flair had successful surgery last week, and she's going to be out of action until August, so we won't get her at Extreme Rules. She will hopefully be back for SummerSlam, but I just don't know how much build they can do in a storyline with her if she can't be in action at all before then. So I guess it depends on how early in August, or unless they just do a lot of in-ring promos and stuff with her to build something. But I just don't see where she fits in when she comes back. I mean, can you guys see her fitting into anywhere other than, I guess, maybe having another title shot?
Yeah, I don't know. This might put her on the back burner for a while. I mean, she's definitely a great performer, and, I don't ever see her, getting the Emma treatment or anything close to that. But, injuries suck, and they definitely screw your careers over. I mean, look at Big Cass.
Well, hers wasn't really an injury. She had a breast implant that ruptured, so she was getting that fixed. Yeah. So taking bumps on the boobies might be a little rough right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, either way though, I mean, being out of action, being injured, that is kind of similar to, the same thing.
Very true. Next one we got Oney Lorcan, which makes me super sad. Suffered a broken orbital bone and is scheduled to undergo surgery. No timetable for his return either. I feel like he might be back a little quicker though, just because it's on his face and.
Orbital bone's like a very sensitive injury, though. People that have that are out for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like the one bone in your face that you can't break.
Oh, God. Well, I saw a picture of it. He looked pretty rough. Like, his face was pretty swollen up, which makes me sad. So that leaves Danny Burch out alone. I've seen him. He's been doing some solo stuff at the live events and stuff, but I don't know that we'll see him back on TV anytime soon.
See, I feel like you would appreciate that because you're such a Birch man.
I am. I would love for him to have a singles run, but I don't see it happening because he doesn't really fit in anywhere on TV at the moment with all the storylines going on. They were doing really well against Undisputed Era. They had that great match at TakeOver with them, but I don't know, man. It seemed like they were the tag team, and they really got over at Money in the Bank, that TakeOver, because when they came out, no one seemed to really care about them that much, and before they left, I mean, they pretty much got a standing O for that match.
Yeah.
Before they left the ring, so it makes me a little sad. I hope old Danny B finds his place and he gets back on TV soon. But at least he's still in the live shows wrestling as a singles. So
they'll find something for him. I think he's a pretty impressive worker from what I've seen.
He definitely is. Hopefully Oni comes back soon. All right, and the last injury we got this week, Lars Sullivan has a broken jaw and apparently wrestled over half his match with Alistair at TakeOver, dealing with that as well. Stevie, how do you feel about that?
He's a big dude. He's tough. So, I think he handled it well. He definitely didn't do what Kalisto did and, completely ruined the match. But either way, I mean, it was still a good performance and,
Of course, Kalisto would be a bitch about it. So I don't know how long he's going to be out, if that's something that we're talking a couple of months or 6 months or I don't know. I don't know what the timetable is.
And that's bad, too, because he's like the only big dude left on NXT because, you just saw Killian Dane come over and then the Authors of Pain.
Yeah.
And Sanity, they left recently too.
Yeah, there's not many big dudes left. It's all little guys down there. I mean, other than your tag teams, you got Heavy Machinery and the War Raiders as well are big dudes, but nobody in singles at all.
Yeah.
So, all right. And finally, and this is kind of a little bit of sad news for us because this is going to totally screw up our podcast day later next year. But in addition to SmackDown moving to Fox, and it will be on Fridays, they made the announcement this week that it's going to move back to Fridays again, which is miserable. NXT is apparently also going to be joining them on Fox and FS1. My biggest concern with this is I hope that doesn't mean that we have to wait a month for NXT episodes on the network.
Oh, probably will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping not either. Well, see, the previous contract with television was signed before they had the network. So I would imagine they have to have something in there that's going to keep that secure because, I mean, watching NXT live on the WWE network is probably a big sell point for the network, especially with SmackDown and Raw not being broadcasted live on there. And I feel like it's going to hurt them a lot if they take that away. So I would still sit tight on this. I wouldn't worry about it too much because I feel like they've probably figured that out. But, who knows at this point. But I'm having faith in it.
I wonder if it's going to be kind of a late night show or something. If they do, like a late 10 p.m. or something, they air the latest episode at that time. And maybe they still put it on the network as well. It might be something Fox can just kind of plug into, a time slot somewhere that's not really that doesn't really have a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah. When you think about it, though, there's only so many subscribers to the network. So, I mean, it's still a win-win for Fox and for the WWE to have it broadcasted on television because you're going to pull in more viewers and lead to more subscriptions.
Who watches? People refer to Friday as the death slot on television. So, like, if that's, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like putting the show on Friday puts a different kind of spin on it. It makes me feel like to Fox, this is more of an afterthought.
Which is amazing for how much money they invested in it. You would think they would put it in a better time slot, keep the Tuesday time slot, because they're still pulling like over 2 million viewers every week on that Tuesday, 8 p.m. time slot on USA.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Tuesday nights has Empire on it, and that's like a really huge show for them on Fox.
Yeah, and they don't want to move that. I'm wondering, see, they keep saying Fox FS1. I'm wondering if it's going to be on FS1 instead of actual Fox. That's one thing they haven't clarified yet.
Even worse.
Yeah, it would be. Because it's not actually even on, regular network TV. It's kind of a cable channel.
I wouldn't say it would be totally bad, though, because, that UFC comes on FS1.
Yeah, true. But, the UFC doesn't put up numbers anywhere near what WWE does.
Yeah.
When it comes to
maybe that's
TV
what they're
shows.
hoping for.
Could be. Maybe they're trying to pull in some viewership over there. I guess we'll find out next October. Thankfully, we're a little ways away, and once we get closer, we'll let you guys know what we're going to do with the podcast at that point, because we like to kind of cover stuff that happens in the same week, just to kind of keep things up to date. So SmackDown might be a week behind or something. So I guess we'll see. All right, moving on to hot takes this week. First up, we don't know if we're getting Lesnar at SummerSlam at this point. I feel like we kind of are, and they're kind of swerving us a bit. This week we found out they canceled the multi-man match for Extreme Rules, but the reason that was canceled is because Vince McMahon decided that he didn't like the idea of it anymore. I think he may have looked back at last year's Extreme Rules, in which they did the same thing.
Well, they've been doing a lot of those matches here recently, too. The gauntlet matches and such.
I'm fine with those. With the multi-man match thing, though, it's kind of like you put, 5 or 6 dudes in a ring and let them do their thing. They did the same thing last year at Extreme Rules, and the winner got a title shot at SummerSlam.
They need to do more multi-man title matches, like triple threat match for the title, fatal four-way for the title, instead of this one-on-one business. They've been doing that for way too long. I think the last multi-man title match was last SummerSlam, I think.
No, there was one after that. It was I think it was I'm trying to think. It was Braun, it was Lesnar, and Kane. I can't remember what pay-per-view that was, though.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Royal Rumble?
It may have been, but man, what a piece of crap that match was.
Oh, it was miserable.
Kane, he just literally got put in there
to take the pin.
Yeah, literally for filler.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the match, if I'm not mistaken, where Brock actually hit Braun in the face.
Yes.
And
vice versa.
For messing him up. Yeah.
Yeah,
they got a little too rough in there, and they had to mute the network because Brock cussed him out.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, it's looking like right now that Lesnar will be at SummerSlam, and it very well could be his last match with WWE. There's a lot of reports coming out saying, though, that WWE is considering letting him keep the belt and having him take it to his UFC matches that he has. If he was going to join the UFC, I think it was this past Friday, he would have had to sign back up into their drug pool so that he could be in a UFC match before the end of the year. And no one knows if he's actually put himself back in the drug pool yet. That sounds like a horrible thing, the drug pool.
I tell you what, that's the worst news that I've heard all day, is him getting to take that belt with him to the UFC.
It's a possibility at this point, and I think that's something that they're looking at because it brings them a little more publicity.
Yeah, it's positive in that, but I mean, the people that are already watching are not having a good time right now because the Universal title is not, advertised on the show. Really, they just have the Intercontinental Championship. And, even with SmackDown this week, there was no AJ or Shinsuke. So, I mean, they really flew blind this week.
Yeah, they did.
No main champion on either show. It's just, I don't want to see that trend anymore. I want Lesnar to leave and get the belt on somebody new. I want that for Christmas. I want that so bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of this Lesnar business. I mean, yeah, he's a monster and stuff, but he doesn't need a belt to whoop everybody's ass,
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. So, all right, next up, and this is a question I have for you guys. Did Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley get promo lessons this week? Because
no.
They didn't.
Here's the thing. I feel like they've always been okay. It's just a matter of the writing sucks,
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I mean, the opening segment was actually not terrible this week with those two.
Yeah, it was really good. I thought it was well done. Considering Lashley's pretty much messed up almost every promo since he's been back. Definitely kudos to him. Let's see, what else was I going to say about that? 0 botches. I think while I was watching it, I was just waiting for them to mess up.
So
I was like, this is so good.
It was so smooth.
I can't. Yeah, I was like, when's the mess up? And they didn't mess up.
No, it started to sound like a shoot for a second, so they definitely tricked us a little bit. I mean, it was well done all the way around. And dare I say that I might actually be a little excited for that match just to see who they put over.
It'll definitely be interesting. I think it'll be better than the Braun and KO match for sure.
I mean, who wins that match? I know SBL is going to say Roman because Roman.
Yeah, Roman always wins everything.
That's true. Except,
why would Roman ever lose?
listen, he lost this week. He lost this week.
I guess, but it doesn't count because it happened on television.
It doesn't count because it was in tag team action.
He'll never lose a real match.
It's true. It's very true.
Only the ones that don't matter.
Like that one against the Revival. And all the Revival purists are super excited that the Revival got a win.
Speaking of them, though, last week they messed up their promo a lot, too, when they came to the ring. And then I was kind of watching Raw, this week, and they came back out, and I was like, wow, is this like literally the same thing as last week without the screw-ups?
Yeah, it was. It was deja vu, except the Roman and Lashley promo was a lot better.
Yeah,
it's like they wanted a
exactly.
redo, so they got a redo this week. They're like, last week's kind of sucked. Let's do that again.
But I mean, good for them, because like I said, I mean, the tag team, picture needs all the support that it could get right now.
It truly does. I still don't see the Revival as a legit contender.
Too small. They're too small.
They are. Yeah, they absolutely are. All right. So I guess I don't even know if I can call this a botch, but man, Bayley this week went crazy and told Sasha she ain't shit on live TV. And I've seen T-shirts out since then. The nice purple shirts with the yellow lettering like the Bayley shirts. The hugger's gonna hug. It just says "You ain't shit" on the front.
Man, that's awesome.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, they're selling them. It wasn't WWE, it was somebody else. I think the back said "I'm Bayley bitch" or something like that. I can't remember. The back was good too.
That's funny.
It had the little Bayley circle, that little emoji thing she has, only it was like giving you the finger. It was great.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious. They like went to the back to all the women and like, okay, out of all these women, which one would make the biggest heel? And they were like, well, Bayley is like the nicest person ever. Let's make her a heel. And it looks like she's actually going to make it work. So kudos to her. And anytime I get the opportunity to see Sasha get her ass whipped, I'm always watching.
Yeah, I'm so down for that. Do you think Bayley's a heel now, though, or do you think she just got super pissed and had enough of her shit?
I think it's gonna be a heel turn. There's too many face women right now. I feel like it's gonna be like a big feud. And you'll definitely see a match at Extreme Rules, probably on the kickoff show, because they're kind of small in the division right now. But I mean, either way, any time that they have attitude on the show, it's always good. For the old school viewers such as us.
True. SBL, do you think she's a heel now?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, though. Maybe that was just like her standing up for herself. I don't see her ever going like full heel. But, I'm constantly wrong about everything, so
well,
why the hell not?
Except for your picks, in all the pay-per-views.
Except when I pick matches.
Well, see, they'll give it another week and see what happens. But at least in the storyline between her and Sasha, she's obviously going to be the bad guy here.
I don't know, man. That's the biggest pop that Bayley's gotten in a year. Easily.
I think, honestly, it's mission accomplished because I think they realized that they had kind of put her in a position where she was weak as fuck. And I think she needed a little bit of fire.
Like a lift.
Though I think the money in Bayley is still the high five and happy girl.
Yeah, probably, but with a little bit of a badass streak now.
She's got to win before that.
They're going to turn all of her little fans into little brats.
Yeah, I can't. It's weird. I can, and a part of me can see her turning heel, but at the same time, because of her entire gimmick, she'd have to change everything down to her music. I mean, it would have to be kind of a Shinsuke type ordeal.
Like a rebirth.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it would have to be if they went that way. I don't see this being on a pre-show. I see this being on a main card, especially for the pop that they got when that happened. If they put some kind of stipulation on that match after they go through counseling, obviously this week with hopefully with Dr. Shelby.
Oh wow.
He tweeted at them, definitely. Or he tweeted at WWE.
That.
It was great. It was so great. He's like, I hear someone needs my help. It was good.
Oh, man.
It was really good. So, all right, moving on. So we're getting the B team versus the Deleters at Extreme Rules. We found that out this week. Honestly, it's impressive to me that they found so many new ways for the B team to win without them having like a legit win. Like this week, Curtis Axel Matt Hardy just kind of fell off the top rope and hurt himself, and he got the pin right away.
Right.
I mean, have you guys ever seen that happen ever?
Oh, it's definitely happened in matches in the past, but I think they're probably opening up the Jim Cornette Bible of finishes and just going down one by one and seeing what screwy ways they can put guys over for sure.
That's probably true.
You kind of have to with these guys.
I could see them winning the titles at Extreme Rules as well, and then losing them the following night, or following night on Monday Night Raw.
I think that my biggest concern now at Extreme Rules is there aren't many Extreme Rules matches at this point. They haven't announced any stipulation for any match. It's like, oh, here's all these matches. They don't have any stipulations, and they have 2 weeks to put those into place, if they even do any.
Well, I mean, they have to do at least one or two of them.
Right.
Most of the time, it's usually more than half of them. I mean, so you got the cage match.
Right.
But
yeah.
that's it, right?
That's all
Everything
they
else
know.
is just a singles match so far.
Singles match, tag team match with no stipulations whatsoever.
And that's one of the biggest problems that I have with today's WWE is the fact that they always have just single matches and, no stipulations, not even a special referee match, in a while. I think, what was it, Mania? That was it?
Yeah, they don't do that stuff very often anymore. And, I think back to when KO and Sami Zayn attacked Shane McMahon on SmackDown before Mania. And there was serious backlash from a lot of the parents that have their little kids that watch, saying that they went too far, and they were super pissed about it.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I saw so many things on Facebook and Twitter of parents like bitching about how they just went too far, and it looked like they really extremely injured him, and they didn't like it. They didn't like the direction they were going with that. So I think WWE takes a look at that, and they're like, well, we can't do any really heavy stuff like that because we have a lot of little kids that watch now, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, you got two people in a ring beating each other's asses. I mean, yeah, it's fake. Wrestling's fake, newsflash. But at the same time, I mean, you're letting your kids watch violence in the first place. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's essentially like staged violence. So you have to kind of surrender the expectation that it's all going to be like hugs and kisses. But I don't know, man. Parents are the fucking worst because they just ruin everything cool.
That's true.
I mean, it's definitely not the worst thing on TV or, the worst thing that a kid sees or hears anymore, especially with every kid having a tablet and a cell phone. They have access to anything they want to look at.
That's it. That's why I don't get why they're trying to, handle everything with kid gloves all the time. It just drives me crazy.
Well, I mean, they do have a big kid side to them, with the, especially with the Connor's Cure. And, obviously kids are going to be, the future of their fan base.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they can't also have super violent matches. I mean, they do occasionally, too. The segment that you're referring to, you talking about where they powerbomb him on those pallets?
Yes,
and he
when
starts,
they stuck his neck in that chair and threw him off the ring post.
Yeah. Well, they actually knocked the breath out of him. That's why he was, screaming like that or, groaning, I guess.
Oh, they got him good. I mean, it looked legit. Like it really hurt. I mean, he made me a believer. That's for sure. Shane sells, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he would die for that company, and they just have to figure out the balance. They went too far with that, but it's not always like that. So I guess it is balance. You're always gonna have someone or someone's parent that has an issue with something, because people get bored and got to do something.
True. Next up, we got Alicia Fox is back. Does anybody care? Anybody?
I hope they do some sort of Fox angle with her when SmackDown goes to Fox.
Nice work. Yes. Very good.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Fox on Fox.
Fox on Fox. She's going to have to be champion at that point, right?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I don't know about that, but I'm pretty excited that she's back. I like Alicia Fox, and I just think it was kind of lame how they had her welcomed back as a backstage hug between Bayley.
And that was it.
Hey, I'm back. Cool. All right, see you later. Just like before.
Yeah, I thought they were going to put her in a match. I mean, they showed her. I'm like, oh, maybe her and Bayley are going to tag up or something. But no, none of that. They're just like, hey, there's Alicia.
We should go mess with Noam Dar again.
God, I hope not. That was the worst storyline ever with Cedric. Ugh. Garbage. Yeah, it's interesting that she's back to begin with. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of them not putting her back on TV or bringing her back because of all the heat that she had after she was screaming at Ronda Rousey's husband. And that got caught on video and sent around the social medias. So I thought it was interesting she's actually back. You know,
I
maybe
didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, there was a video that came out. It's been like 2 or 3. I think it was before WrestleMania. It might have been WrestleMania weekend, where there was video. It was like 30 seconds to a minute of her like screaming at Ronda Rousey's husband for some reason. I can't remember the dude's name off the top of my head, but
Wow.
So there was talk of them not bringing her back because they don't want to piss off Ronda at this point because she is the money.
She is the money. That we can agree.
Indeed, indeed. She actually won't be back until SummerSlam. It's looking like she's not going to have a match until then.
Oh, give me a break. That's so lame.
Yep. Well, she's suspended for one, so she won't be Extreme Rules for sure, but she's not supposed to have a legit match until SummerSlam again, and it's most likely going to be for the title again. Probably against Alexa, I would imagine, which means Alexa's definitely not going to lose to Nia. See, that's a match they need a stipulation for to make it believable.
I don't know though, because if they make Alexa lose to Nia, they could have the rematch and maybe actually have a finish to the Nia Jax Ronda Rousey match.
Possibly, but there isn't really heat on, Nia at this point, and there's not really a feud between Nia and Ronda.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Who cares?
That's true. You're right. You're right.
Oh, there's no story here? Well, let's throw one here anyway.
What?
Because we're the writing staff.
I don't know what
And
the hell
Vince
I'm
wants
talking
it.
about. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
Who
right.
cares?
You're definitely right. Next story is kind of a crazy one. So Shinsuke wasn't on TV this week because he was bit in the leg by a police dog in Bakersfield on Monday night. Apparently, the dog was with a police officer and they were doing a sweep for bombs. It's kind of like a bomb sniffing dog. And apparently they do it before every live event just to make sure everybody's safe and everything. And I guess the dog didn't like Shinsuke so much and definitely bit through his leg. So he was quite sore on Tuesday and was
Ouch.
not cleared to wrestle.
Do you think the dog's been watching SmackDown?
More of a Jeff Hardy fan.
More of an AJ guy?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that stinks. I mean, I hope he feels better soon.
Look, dogs don't know the difference between
Yeah.
a work and a shoot.
That's
They
true.
don't get it.
Honestly, if it was a work, he would have bit him in the balls. Let's be real.
Good point.
Oh man.
Well, I think maybe the dog sees him punching people in the balls and he's like, all right, motherfucker.
Listen, I'm an AJ
Coming
fan.
for you.
I'm biting you. I'm gonna bite your leg off. See how you feel about that. Let's see if you Kinshasa anybody after this. I'm gonna bite your knee. I mean, so maybe it was a good call. He can't do his finisher at this point.
Well, SmackDown definitely suffered not having him this week. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to the Hardy and Shinsuke match. Honestly, I was wondering if maybe they'd put the title on Shinsuke.
I was kind of surprised that the only real promotion that went on SmackDown was James Ellsworth versus Asuka next week.
Yeah, they didn't really do a whole lot of build for anything else. I mean, it's obvious we're getting Shinsuke and Hardy at Extreme Rules. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of...
That may end up being a ladder match.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
You don't see too many United States title ladder matches.
Yeah, not anymore. But I mean, having Jeff in there, obviously he's a ladder guy. But then again, with Shinsuke being injured and just going through the last man standing match, I don't know. I'm just hoping that Extreme Rules doesn't end up being boring. And I know you guys feel that way too because you guys are going.
You damn right. It better not be boring.
I don't think I think
like-
that's the whole thing about it is that it's always boring and nobody gets their money back.
This event was so boring. I had to buy an $18 beer to make it interesting.
All right. So next, I got a question for you guys. Do you think Becky Lynch should be next in line for a title shot after they get done with this whole Asuka Carmella feud?
Yes.
Stevie?
Yeah, I do.
So you think they're building her to that?
I hope so because I mean, she's been in the background for so long and everybody loves her. So I mean, I don't know why they would treat her like that, but I don't really know what's going on with that writing staff ever. Like you said, you don't know. I don't know. Ain't nobody know except for those dudes.
I don't know how they're feeling from week to week. It seems like they're high on her right now. They are definitely noticing the big pop she's getting. So I guess it could take them to SummerSlam. And maybe that's the SummerSlam match we get because I don't see Asuka winning against Carmella, especially with the Ellsworth factor. And, I mean, not to mention that Becky and Carmella had a thing before with Ellsworth involved. So maybe they'll get back to that again.
I think it's so funny that Ellsworth always has to fight women because I've seen him in the indies, and he's actually a decent wrestler.
Yeah, I don't think they see him as a legit contender against men, other than the times he pinned AJ Styles.
Because he's like a little boy.
He's tiny.
But for real though, like if you watch some of his indie stuff on YouTube, he's really great. But he's also great at the character that he plays too, which is a wimp. But last time that he got fired, it was because of a match that he had with Becky Lynch, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. And it sucks that they're kind of throwing him back into that type of storyline again with Asuka and him fighting Asuka next week. I just don't understand how they can make that happen again or think that's a good idea again. I don't know. I guess they feel that's the only way to build that feud.
I don't know. I just hope they get him out of that character soon. Otherwise, he's going to go down the same road. I don't get it, though. Like, they got rid of Alicia Fox. They got rid of James Ellsworth. And then they brought them both back and pretty much put them in the same situation.
Well, Alicia's not really in any situation yet. She's just kind of hanging out backstage, I guess.
Well, like I said, I mean, that's what it was before.
That's true. Very true. Oh, man. Speaking of people that are back, Kane is back again. I mean, I kind of didn't see it coming, but I kind of did at the same time. And I think we even talked about that last week, about how Team Hell No may come back. Yeah, kind of called it.
I thought it was stupid, and I still do. It's super dumb.
I mean, you have a deep-seated hate for Kane at this point.
Not Kane, but just all old-timers.
That have gone on past their prime.
If you're plus 45, it's time to start winding it down.
Listen, if you're running for mayor, it's time to not be involved with the WWE anymore.
Yeah, I've never been stoked about Kane since he switched to the demon mask. I hate that thing so much. I wish he would have.
That's the other thing.
If he would come back in the original attire or something similar to that, or even like a new attire that's not a matte colored mask, I would probably be more down for it. But then again, he's always just been like a yes man for the company, which is why he's been so successful, I think, despite all the corny roles that he's had to play over the years. But just like I've been saying this entire podcast, I just think it's a move to get more tag team heat going in the entire SmackDown, and Raw's working towards that as well by giving the B team and the Deleters a shot at some good action.
Well, I hope the B team gets it.
Yeah, me too. Do you guys see Daniel Bryan and Kane winning the tag title at Extreme Rules?
Not really, no.
Too soon, maybe SummerSlam, but there will definitely be some heat fights going on for Extreme Rules. You have to think about it this way, Daniel Bryan is like a huge name, and since he came back, he hasn't been able to get into the main title picture yet, so this is kind of like their way of two birds in one stone here, is teaming him back up with Kane, which is what I'm anticipating. Teaming him back up with Kane and, getting some gold on him, not necessarily the main gold.
Maybe, but at the same time, I can't see Kane sticking around for a long time. Because, I mean, he literally is running for mayor at this point. There's an election in November. I would think if they win it, they lose it at SummerSlam. Or, pretty soon around that time. Because I don't see that team sticking around. I feel like it's kind of like Daniel Bryan's doing a tour of here's what I used to do and all the matches I used to have. And, you're getting dream matches. You're getting some stuff he used to be a part of that was extremely over, and they're trying to kind of get all that stuff out of the way. Maybe this is the final, the last hurrah for Kane going to ride off into the sunset. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be a temporary thing. Like you said, with him running it, for mayor, it probably is. But either way, they're still just trying to get something going for Daniel Bryan. For old DB.
For sure. Do you guys see AJ losing the title anytime soon?
I feel like if he loses it, it'll probably be to The Miz to eventually put it on Bryan.
Maybe.
That's what I see. But honestly, I think he could just as easily lose it to Rusev.
He could. I don't see it happening, though. I look at it from the business side of things. He's on the new WWE 2K19 game. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he is the face of the company right now. I mean, he really is. When it comes down to it, he's going to be on the new Fox SmackDown show, obviously. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he loses it in the next year. I think he's going to hold it for over another year at least. There's I don't know.
I'm kind of fine with that, man. I feel like he's your best guy. He's what they wanted Roman Reigns to be, which is a great wrestler who the fans get behind.
And he has great matches. He's constantly there. he's everything you want in a guy. I don't see anybody taking it from him anytime soon. He's just going to hang out with it for a while.
I hope so. I mean, I don't necessarily know, but I hope that happens.
All right, our last hot take we got today. Tommaso Ciampa challenging Aleister Black for the next takeover. At the same time, there's still talk of Triple H wanting a third match with Gargano in a steel cage or a 3 Stages of Hell match. That news kind of dropped today. The Ciampa and Aleister Black thing's definitely happening, and I feel like Aleister's probably going to lose it at TakeOver so that the Gargano Ciampa 3 can have a title at stake.
That's interesting. So you think they'll do Aleister first and then go back to Gargano?
Ooh.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, you're saying ooh as though you didn't just say that.
I agree, yeah. I think that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to go back to Gargano again because I don't think they want to do that 3 takeovers in a row. So I feel like Aleister's going to be next, and Gargano might feud with maybe EC3 or someone else to kind of, build him back up a little bit again after that last loss so people forget that he just lost to Ciampa again.
Fair enough.
So let me ask this question. What exactly is a 3 Stages of Hell match? I don't think I've ever seen one.
They're just 3 different matches, right? So the first fall will be like an Extreme Rules. The second fall will be something else. So it's like 3 stipulations in a row.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So it could be anything that they decide on, which will probably be a singles match, and a singles match.
One will be an Extreme Rules. One will be something else, and then maybe they'll drop a cell down and have a Hell in a Cell for the third.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. So it could literally include a steel cage regardless.
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, I'd be fine with any of that, and I think that'll finally be the blow-off.
The most recent one, I did a little research here while we were talking about it. The most recent one was in 2013. It was Cena versus Ryback. First match was lumberjack match. Second was tables, and third match was an ambulance match.
I hate the ambulance match.
Yeah, it's dumb.
That's one of my least favorites of the gimmick matches, like throwing someone in an ambulance. I just don't get it.
Dumb as shit, man.
It really is. All right, guys. Finally, we get down to what our match of the week was. Stevie, I'll let you go first.
Well, there's not many good ones to pick from. If there was actually a fair result for the Intercontinental title match, that would probably be the winner, but it's going to have to go to the tag team match with Braun and Kevin Owens versus Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, solely based on star power and a couple of spots.
So you really dug like the bottom of the barrel for that then?
Yeah. It's all at the bottom. They need to refill the barrel.
It was a rough week. All right, SBL, what's yours?
Daniel Bryan, bruh.
Daniel Bryan against the Luke Harper.
The old Harper of Luke's.
It was a good match.
It was a pretty good match. A couple of spots scared me in that match. I mean, like,
me too, for sure.
Oh God, when he threw his head up against
was still a
the
good
barricade, I mean, he went head first. I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, please get up, please get up.
I was really hoping that he would adjust his style. We've talked about this before, but
Yep.
I guess he just won't. So we'll be hopefully we'll get to see him before he retires forever.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, right now we will at Extreme Rules. Fingers crossed. All right, my match of the week this week, man, I've got to give it to Rollins and Ziggler. Even though there was a terrible finish, it was still great up to that point. Man, they gave those dudes 27 minutes of time.
And they deserved it.
They absolutely did, and they made every minute of it count as well. I mean, just the amount of time they took in between spots, they really let the match breathe in a few spots. I mean, it's 2 dudes that are vets just doing vet stuff and making everything look great. You know, the ending sucked, yes. I mean, you knew Drew McIntyre was going to intervene at some point, but man, it was good all the way through. So I know everyone wanted to see Rollins win it back, but, now we might get that match again, which I'm totally fine with.
And they totally went over on time, too. I almost, I have my DVR set to record up to 5 minutes after the show is supposed to go off, because it's supposed to go off at like 11:05.
Usually. They've been going really late lately. It's been like 11:07 to 11:10.
Yeah, I wonder how much they have to pay for that extra time.
I don't know. I feel bad for the show after them.
That's a deal they have pre-existing with the network.
Yeah.
They can have that little bit of time. But, man, yeah, it was a great match. Yeah, I guess that's all we got for you folks this week. As always, you can check us out on the social medias at Botchcast on Twitter, at Wrestling Botchcast on Instagram, wrestlingbotchcast.com is where you can find all the old episodes. We are now on the Spotifys. So if you're a Spotify listener, you can hop over there and follow us on there if you want to get your episodes there. It's weird. Not a lot of people really use Spotify for podcasts. I think Spotify's trying to make podcasts a thing over there, but it's not there yet. But if you're into that sort of thing, we're there now. You can find us there.
Oh, you're just like, we're on there, but fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. Spotify, everyone gets excited. We're on Spotify, but like I have another podcast that I do, and Spotify is less than 1% of the listens that we get. So not a huge deal.
I'm a big CD guy, so I don't really like a lot of the stream services at all, especially Spotify.
You're a music purist.
I just want to thank Stevie for joining us from 1998 today.
Hey, man.
Dude, it's hard to make a Skype call through time.
It's weird.
We somehow managed to do it week after week.
Time machines,
Well, if the
bro.
connection messes up or anything, it's because I'm over here on my AOL.
Dial up.
Right.
Your 56K modem.
I'm dialed in. 52, man. Don't be getting too generous.
Oh, sorry.
52.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in from the past, Stevie. SBL.
Yeah, man.
It's sometimes a pleasure.
Ugh. Is it?
No, you're right. It's not.
Look, there's only one champion.
Currently.
One bot champion.
Hey, listen, there's a pay-per-view coming up in 2 weeks. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good this time.
I can't wait to shove it down your damn throat in person. It's going to be great.
I know you're going to as well. You can do it live while we're at the event. You'd be like,
right in
that
front
one
of your
right."
kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you cry in front of your son.
You guys are going to be looking real dumb whenever I win, and y'all are there.
And we're
I'll
both.
follow you and curse you out.
Yeah.
Also,
Listen,
what else is new?
That's true.
Yeah, I guess. Right, exactly.
So we're just going to do what we usually do to you.
We're gonna hop in our DeLorean and go back to 1998.
We can listen to CDs together.
Find your ass.
Hey, 98 was a good year.
Pop in some cassette tapes. Listen to that old Ace of Base.
Hey, I'm down.
All right, mans.
All right.
Just yawn, so
That's
time's
it.
up.
That's all we got for you folks this week. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah.
Later, Marks.